Joined now by Congressman Adam Schiff, a Democrat out of Burbank. Congressman, thanks for joining us. What is your reaction to the president's speech?
I thought it was a good, solid speech that laid out why we ought to be very concerned about ISIL, what steps we need to take to defeat it, what help that we can count on from our allies. But I view this really as the opening statement, not the closing argument, and I think we're going to hear a lot more from the president and other members of the administration who lay out in greater detail just what we can expect in terms of not only our own military campaign, but the assistance we're going to get from others.
You've talked that this fight could take several years. I mean, talk about the timeline that we're looking at here.
Well, I think this is a multi-year effort. My guess is that the first phase of it will be an intensification of our military effort in Iraq. We have partners in Iraq like the Peshmerga, the Iraqi forces, as well as a government we can work with that can help us peel the Sunnis away from ISIS. We don't have those ingredients yet in Syria, so I think it makes sense to concentrate on Iraq in the first instance. But that will take quite some time, and it will take even longer in Syria, where we have no cohesive army to work with. We have kind of a ragtag band of rebels who don't fight cohesively and aren't very moderate. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done to have the same foundation in Syria. We also have a hostile government in Bashar al-Assad. So that's a long-term prospect. And as long as that civil war is going on in Syria, there will be room for ISIL. So it's going to be a long-term undertaking.
And on that Syria question, there's been talk that there will be training of some of the moderate forces in Syria. The question is, who are those moderate forces? Can you trust them?
Well, it's a very good question. I have to say I've been skeptical about this for quite some time because a lot of those moderate rebels, so-called moderates, aren't the least bit moderate. They don't fight together well. Often they fight each other, and sometimes they fight alongside of al-Nusra, the official al-Qaeda franchise in Syria. And weapons that we might provide may end up in the hands of al-Nusra or ISIL. So it's very problematic. And the time it will take and the resources it will take to train them to fight cohesively, it will take years, and the numbers will be small. And the numbers of foreign fighters coming in may end up eclipsing the number of fighters we can train over that same period of time. So it's a challenging proposition. And I will say this, Alex, that the one thing it may have going for it is I understand the Saudis are willing now to be the host of this training and do it in an overt way. That is a significant change when one of the major Gulf states is willing to play a very open role. And if this has the effect of getting those Gulf states behind the same group of rebels, that will be progress, because up until this point, they've been throwing money and munitions without a whole lot of organization, and some of that going to the wrong people.
The president asked for congressional authorization tonight. I know you've been vocal saying that you want there to be a vote before the midterm elections, but do you think there will be a vote before the midterm elections?
Well, the president was very careful in the language he chose. He would welcome congressional support. He didn't say that it was necessary to seek an authorization. From my point of view, I think it is necessary. I hope we'll have a vote. I have to say I'm a bit skeptical because there are a significant number of people on both sides of the aisle who would be only too happy not to have to vote on this. But we're talking about essentially going to war for a period of years in Iraq and in Syria. And that is, I think, fundamentally the kind of question of war, the question of an authorization of force that Congress really needs to be a part of. So I think we'll be shirking our duty if we don't take up an authorization to use force. I think it was very important for the president tonight to lay out the threat that are posed by these foreign fighters that are flocking into Syria and Iraq. Many of them Europeans, some Americans. These people are going to try to come home one day, and that's probably the most significant long-term threat facing our country from ISIL, that these people go over, they become radicalized, and they come back. As you've covered, Alex, we've had people even from Orange County, from Southern California, try to leave and join the fight. That's been going on for some time, and this is going to pose a real challenge to our intelligence agencies, our Homeland Security Department, to make sure they don't come back and attack us.
Congressman Adam Schiff, thank you so much for the time, sir. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you.